So let's move on to our next subtopic, control structures. Right, control structures we discuss under designing. We use flowcharts, NS diagrams, pseudocode, and build some logic using control structures. So therefore, this is not new thing. Only thing is you just need to look at what is the syntax from Java. And most of the languages, the syntax is pretty much the same as well. Okay. Right. So when it comes to control structures, we have sequence, selection, and repetition or the loop. So before control structures are used, I mean 1970s or 1960s and 70s, there was nothing called control structures at that time. So at that time, we had something called unstructured programming because people had never thought of control structures at that time. So when we want to take our control from one place to the other, so they used go to statement. So just have a label and say condition, then you go there. Then again do it. Then again check the condition. If the condition is true, again go there. If not, you just go to the next line, maybe another condition. So it goes from the control goes from one place to the other place to the, because we need to do that because there are conditional things. But it is not very easy to understand code. So sometimes we call it spaghetti code. Spaghetti means something like noodles. It's a mess. It's a mess. But in 1970s, latter part of 1970s, programming languages start support for control structures. So that make our programming much readable, easy to understand code. Okay, so even today, we use those control structures. Sequence control structure, conditional control structures, or selection, loop or iteration control structures. So it's much more readable code. Okay. And there's another control structure called transfer, which is not really a control structure. It's a sort of a supplementary to the control structure. So therefore, we take it separately. But the main control structures are sequence, selection, repetition. So sequence control structure is something that we have already used. For example, when you write our program statements one by one, it executes from top to bottom. So therefore, sequence control structure is nothing new for you guys. Already in our Java programs, we have used sequence. Okay. Right. So there was nothing to worry. Okay. Right. So this is a sequence. This is the use of sequence control structure. No conditions, no loops. Right. Say I want to input something from the user. Make sure you import Java util scanner class. Then create a scan object by sending system.in. So then give a message, enter first an integer or something. Then of course, if you want to take it to an int variable, make sure you call the next int. Then give a message for the second integer. Then call the next int and assign it to another integer. Because those are integers, now you can straight away add and assign to another integer. And then you can print it. Maybe using printf statement. So printf statement, I explained to some of you guys, some of the badges, but not for all the badges. So if I have not explained printf statement, because I have already explained print statement, println statement, just refer to the last few slides of the variables and data types note and learn what is printf. So in printf, basically, we can send some, we can have some parameters. And after the comma, we can give the value for that parameter. So the sum will be substitute for D. So therefore, sum is whatever the value. And depending on the data type, it can be %D, %F, and so on. And if you have multiple parameters, you need to provide multiple arguments for those parameters. Okay, so that is, if I have not done printf for you, just refer to the note and do some coding with those examples and understand. Okay. So ideally what you can do is, this is something you can try out, right? So before coming to the session, read the note. So this is super important thing. Before coming to the session, read the note for next session. Say, you know that today's session is operators according to syllabus. So therefore, before coming to the today's session, you should have read operators note. Okay. And ideally, you should have understood it. Maybe you should have done some coding, explore that. Okay. So if you are 100% understood, even you don't need to attend the session because you have understood it. What is the point of attending the session? But if you feel like, yes, I think I need few more points to clarify, maybe I want to cement that my understanding again. Maybe I can make it a little bit more perfect. I'm looking for good result, A plus. So therefore, I need to collect some more points from the session. So that is how you attend. So otherwise, actually, you gradually get into the self-study mode. Right? So if you get into the self-study mode, basically, our job is done. Our job is done. Our job is successfully done. It doesn't mean I don't mean it doesn't mean that you are not supposed to attend sessions, because different students attend the sessions for different reasons. Right? Some students attend because they want to get A plus. They already understand, but they want to get A plus. They want to get a first class. So therefore they attend. Because maybe there's an additional thing they can learn. Some students attend. So those students usually they have already read it. Usually they have read it. Some students they read it, but they don't attend the session because they are not looking for something like A plus. Maybe they are happy with B or A because their target is different. And some students they attend the session because they have not read the note, they have no idea about what is happening. They just attend for the sake of attend. And some students they have already read the note, but they have not understood certain part. So therefore they attend. So likewise, there are different type of students here. So you must know which category you are in, right? So okay. So ideally, you must have read the note and somehow somewhat understood or maybe perfectly understood before attending the session. Okay. So that is very important because this is higher education, professional education. Professionals are very independent. So that is why actually one of the reasons why they want to be a professional is they don't want to stay under others. So therefore they need independence. So therefore they want to be a doctor, engineer, so that they don't rely on the family, government. So then what about you don't want to rely on your teachers or lecturers? First try to independent that level as much as possible. Okay. So unfortunately, you don't get this kind of words from teachers, especially school level, because teachers want slaves. So teachers like when students attend the class. ඒකෙන් ලොකු නීති දාන්නේ 100ක් ඔයගොල්ලෝ දන්න 180ක් යන්න ඕනේ ඉස්කෝලේ A level පන්ති. 180ක් යන්න ඕනේ. ඇයි ඒ? ඔයාට ආදරේ හන්දද? අපෝ නෑ. ටීචර්ගේ රස්සාව බේර ගන්න. ටීචර්ගේ රස්සාව බේර ගන්න. මුන් ඉස්කෝලේ ආවේ නැත්නම් එම් ඉස්කෝල වහනවා. ඉස්කෝලේ සල්ලි දෙන්න පඩි ගන්න කොහොමද? නැත්නම් රටේ නැති නීති දානවා 180 ගන්න ඕන. අස්සම් කරන්න ඕන ප්‍රින්සිපල් නේද? ලොකු ටියුෂන් ටීචර්ත් ඔක අදාළයි. ටියුෂන් ටීචර් බලන්නේ කොහොම හරි මේගොල්ලන්ගේ ඊළඟ මාස ටිකක් ගන්න ඕනේ ඊළඟ මාස පේමන්ට් එකක් ගන්න ඕනේ. එහෙම හිතන අය ඉන්නවා. එහෙම හිතන අය ඉන්න හන්ද ඒගොල්ලෝ හැමතිස්සෙම කියන්නේ නෑ ඕගොල්ලෝ ළමයි තාම මේ මම දැකලා තියෙනවා මේ BIT ඩිග්‍රී වලටත් ඔය සමහර අපිට රෙකෝඩින්ග්ස් එහෙම දකින්නවනේ YouTube එකේ ස්ටුඩන්ට්ලට කතා කරන ළමයි කියලා. හත් දෙයියනේ. ඩිග්‍රියක් කරනකොට ළමයි ඉන්නවද? එක්ක ළමයින්ගේ ළමයි එනවද දන්නේ නේද? ඒ වැඩිහිටියන්ගේ ළමයි ඇකේ තියාගෙන ඉනවද දන්නේ ළමයි කියන ගුරු මේ ලෙක්චරර්ස්ලා. ලෙක්චරර්ස් කොහොමද BIT degree ළමයි ඉන්නේ. ඒ කියන්නේ ඒගොල්ලෝ හරි කැමති ළමයි වෙනවට, බබා හුඟුන් වෙනවට. එතකොට අමු වහල්ලු වෙනවා. අමු වහල්ලු වෙනවා. ස්ට්‍රීම් එකෙන් කියන ටික විතරයි තේරෙන්නේ, සිංහලෙන් තමයි උගන්වන්නේ. ඒක තනියෙන් කර කරගන්න බෑ. පුළුවන් නම් ළමයි ළමයින්ගේ ළමයි කියලා කියන්නේ. So be independent, right? So that is the expectation from professional education. Okay, right. So therefore, if I have not done printf statement, just go through the note and understand by yourself. Okay, maybe for one class I have not done printf. Right. So then the selection or condition. Conditionally do something. Of course, you know what is conditionally doing something because we have done it in flowcharts, NS diagrams, pseudocode. So in Java language, there are two types of conditions or conditional control structures or selection control structure. So what is known as Boolean selection or Boolean condition? Value selection or value condition. So the Boolean selection is if or if else. Value selection is switch. Most of the languages support both Boolean selection and value selection, like Java, C, C++, C Sharp, PHP. They support both. But if you take something like Python, it supports only Boolean selection. It does not support value selection. Okay. It does not support value selection. There's a very funny thing when it comes to programming languages. So if someone asks what is the smallest language, for example, Python doesn't support switch. Python doesn't support do while. Almost all the other languages support do while, but Python doesn't support do while. Python doesn't support switch. Right? So likewise, when it comes to Python, there are things which are supported in other languages which are not supported in Python. So if you want to print something, easiest way to print something is use Python. Just say print. But other languages, there are some other things sometimes. So then someone might say, okay, Python is having less features, right? Do while is not there, switch is not there. But if you look at what is the most popular language right now, it's Python. Python. So then why? So one of the reasons why Python is popular because Python does not support unnecessary things. Python support minimum essential things. So therefore Python language is small and beautiful. In some cases, most of the cases, first of all, people must feel like learning a language. So Python has that kind of a feeling. So then after some time, people learn Python and after some time, Python is popular. Sometimes less features. Even though less features, more and more people start using Python because it's easy, simple. So that is why we say simplicity wins. Simplicity wins in most of the cases. Right? So why do while is not supported? Because without do while you can survive. Why switch is not supported? Without switch you can survive. So if you can survive, they don't provide that. They don't provide. So that is the Python philosophy. But all the other languages, yes, if and switch is there. Not only Java, C, C++, C Sharp, PHP, JavaScript. So they have if and switch. Okay. So therefore, let's learn both if and switch. So if has three variations, you can just use if only, you can use if and else, or you can use if with else if, any number of else if, and of course, else also optional. But it is if is if, okay. Right, so this is you just use if condition. So if is a keyword in Java, your condition, then your statements. Within curly brackets, you can write your statements, which is when the condition is true. And this is the flowchart. When the condition is true, do these things and go. If condition is false, skip those things and then do the other things. Okay, so that is called normal if condition. And if you have only one line here, one statement, having these curly brackets are optional. But if you have more than one statement, having these curly brackets is mandatory. Okay. So those are the small things you must understand. So that is not only for Java, almost all the languages. Okay. So let's create another class. Now we have created a project. Now you can create any number of classes. Go to SRC folder, right click, new Java class. I'll say condition demo, or I'll say if demo. If demo. I will share you the code at the end. Say PSVM. So let's say I have a variable, say int marks. මම දැන්ට hard code කරනවා මොකද input කරන්න බුදුම දුකක් විඳින්න බෑ Java වල නේද? System scanner class එක import කරලා say marks equal 10 say 70. So now I can write a simple condition. If say marks greater than 50, now you know this operator. Say S out pass. And we'll say bye later. So whether you pass or fail, we'll say bye. So this is a simple if condition. Okay. Let's run it. And this should say pass and bye. And if it is something like 40, it will say only bye because it doesn't come to the if condition. Just say bye. Okay. And I told you if you have only one line here, having this curly bracket is optional. So therefore, if you want, you can just remove this curly bracket and still it works. Only one line is considered as part of the if condition, no else condition. It's just bye because it's 40. So when this 40, marks is not greater than 50, therefore it doesn't execute this. And only one line is considered as if condition. So therefore this is a common line. Even though you write it like this, even though you write it like this, it doesn't matter because this statement belongs to if condition. This statement is not belong to if condition because there's no curly bracket, means only one line is belong to if condition. So therefore still the output is bye. Okay, bye. But if you have multiple statements belonging to the if condition, then having curly bracket is mandatory. Otherwise, semantically error because you think that it is part of the condition, but actually it is a common thing. Okay. But the best practice is for readability, have those curly brackets. So write neat code, professional code. Now this is better when it comes to readability. And optionally, if you want, you can have else. Say fail. Fail. So now it will print fail and bye because it goes to else. But if your marks is 70 or something, it will say pass and bye. But it never go to both pass and fail because it goes to the if, it doesn't go to else. It goes to else, it doesn't goes to if. Right. So that is how if else work. Any questions? Any questions? Right. So then if you want, you can have extend this condition using else if. Else if. For that, I will take a different example because otherwise something like this. So here below, I don't say just pass fail. I will say whether it's A or B or C. I will say if it is bigger than 80 or 70, I will say A. Else if, now you can write another condition. Say marks greater than 60. I will say B. So now I can copy paste also. Say else if greater than 50, I will say C. else I will say F. This is just a logic I will. S out F. So this will come to what? Because it is 40. First it will say fail. Now this is a independent different if condition. So it will not go to greater than 70. It will not go here. It will not go here. So therefore it will say F. It is fail and F. Okay, fail and F. It goes to the else again. Okay. But if your marks is something like 55, so then from first if else it will be pass. Second one it will be C. Right. And then by. Why is that fail? Sorry, I need to change it to say 50. Oh, sorry, not here. I made a mistake there. So I don't want to change that. I want to change this 55. Now pass and B. Pass and C. 55. Sorry, not 55, right? 55 means greater than 50 is C. Yeah, it's C. If it is greater than 50, it is C. And it is passed from this if else. Right. That is how if condition work. And again, if you have just one line here, it is perfect to delete these curly brackets. But if you have more than one bracket, that is error. Here it is compile error. Okay. While I need to then compile errors because syntactically wrong. That you must try out by yourself. Right. Any questions about if and if else or if else if? Of course, if you have a doubt, the best thing is you just code and check and think about it. You think about it. Right. So now we move on to our next condition, switch. Value condition, switch. Right. I'll call this switch demo. Switch demo. Main PSVM. Okay. Right. So switch is a value condition. Value condition means depending on a value, you go to a particular condition or particular case. Not true false. It's something like when you go to say railway station, say Fort railway station. If you want to go to Kandy, go to platform 2. If you want to go to Matara, go to platform 5. If you want to go to say Halawat, go to platform 3. It's a value condition. Value condition. It's not Boolean condition. It's a value condition. So that is where we can use switch. Okay, so again, I will do a hard code example. Okay. And say something like, let's say int, say number, or let's say X. I will hard code it to a value. Of course, if you want, you can take it from the user using scan object. I will hard code it to 4 for the time. Now I will write a switch statement. Switch, this is values condition in Java. Not only Java, JavaScript, PHP, C, all these languages have switch. Switch. Okay, so this is a little bit longer control structure in all the languages. So now you switch based on X. It must be a valid data type like integer or whole number. You can't have float double here. So it can be whole number or char. Okay, whole number or char, not decimal values. Even for string it works. Okay. Switch based on X. Now you can write a number of case statement. Say case it is 1. So then you can say S out. I will say Monday. This is just an example, okay? So that means if X is 1, print Monday. Why I'm getting error? Okay, so that is again coming from IntelliJ. I told you that sometimes AI become a headache. Okay, AI become headache. Okay. So this guy says you are doing crazy things. Yes, I'm doing crazy things because it's a class. I am not a professional software engineer. Okay. I'm not playing the role of a professional software engineer. So this IntelliJ is saying that you guys are doing stupid things. Yes, I am doing stupid things because this is a class. This is to teach, explain what is switch condition is. This is not a practical software, right? Commercial software. Okay. Uh, so let's have another case, another case, another case, another case, maybe another case. Say case 2, case 3, case 4, case 5, case 6, okay, and maybe another one, case 7. Now here you can have multiple statement without curly bracket. That is exceptional scenario. සාමාන්‍ය curly bracket එකක් දාන්න ඕන multiple statement දාන්න ඕන. නමුත් මෙතන විශේෂ අවස්ථාවක් දෙයක් නෙමෙයි දාන්න ඕනේ නැහැ කියලා. Okay. And make sure you have break statement also. I will explain why later. For the time being, just remember in the case statement, make sure you have the break statement at the end. Right. So if it is 1, I will say Monday. If it is 2, I will say Tuesday. This is just a simple program. 3, I will say Wednesday. 4, I will say Thursday. 5, I will say Friday. 6, I will say Saturday. And 7, I will say Sunday. Right. දැන් එයා මට අනම්මන පාඩ දාන්න නැහැ නේද ගොන් වැඩ කරනවා කියලා නෑ. දැන් එයා බෝනින් දෙන එක නැවතුවා. දැන් කියනවා නෑ දැන් අවුලක් නෑ. හරි ඉස්සෙල්ලා කිව්වේ ගොන් වැඩ කරන්න එපා කියලා. හරි. මම ඉන්න 4ට මොකක්ද එකක් කියනවා? Only reachable in the whole switch. මේක මොකක්ද? This is again coming from IntelliJ, not from Java compiler. Switch label 4 is only reachable in the whole switch. සමහර පිනිය පිස්සු කියලා නැත්නම් සමහරට තාම AI නේ ඔය AI වලින් අපිට පොඩි පොඩි සෙල්ලම් දාලා පෙන්නනවා අපි හොඳයි කියලා. සමහරට AI පිස්සු නටනවා හරි. AI තාම පිස්සු නටන වෙලාවල් තියෙන එක ගණන් ගන්න එපා. I think that is ඒ වගේ මොනාලු පිටපටයක් කියලා මට හිතෙන්නේ. Right. So now okay at the end let's say bye. Right. So now in this case my x value is 4. So therefore it must go into this case and print Thursday, and break means get out of the switch. Get out of the switch. So this is the end of the switch. Therefore it will say bye. So therefore it will say when for this hard-coded value, it must print Thursday and bye. And let's see. Thursday and bye. Okay. දැන් එයා අර කියන්නේ ඉතින් ඔය ඕක 4 කියන එක hard code කරලා තියෙනවා නේද එයාකේද ඕක switch එකක් ලියන්න ඕනේ කෙලින් Thursday and bye. හරි ඒක කතාවක් හරියද නේ. මේක hard coded නේ. ඒකයි අය කියන්නේ නෑ. හරි එයා කියන්නේ ඔයාගේ මේක විතර ලියවන ඉවරයි නේ. කොහොමද ඕක බින්දට තමයි එන්නේ. හරි හරි ඒක අපි දන්නවා නේ. Right. Anyway, that is a valid explanation because if I write this in a commercial software, I'm doing a stupid thing. But this is just to explain you how the case statement works. Okay. Right. So therefore, since x is 4 now, it won't go to 1, 2, 3. It will come to 4. It will print Thursday. Because of the break statement, it will break out. And optionally, if you want, you can have the default statement. Right? Default. And then if you want, you can say invalid day or whatever. because we are expecting 1 to 7, right? Invalid. Because in the last statement, having break is optional. Because anyway, that is the end of the control structure. So therefore, usually you don't need break at the for the default. Anyway, now the output is not going to change. Still, it is Thursday and Y. But now, if your out value is not something 1 to 7, like 9, now it will go to default statement because it will not come into any of these things. So therefore, it will say invalid then by. Invalid then by. Okay. Invalid then by. Right. So that is how the case statement works. Now, case statement. Now, this is the flow chart of the case statement. Now, note එක follow කරන්න ඕනයි. අන්න note එක මේ follow කරලා ඉවරලා තියෙන්න ඕන. right. scan එක දාලා ටිකක් මනුස්ස විදියට හදලා තියෙන example ලා. Right, ternary condition I will explain next, okay? I told you we will cover the ternary condition when we do if else, but I forget it. I will do it after switch. Right, switch. So this is how the control structure look. So this is your value condition. Depending on the value, it will come to one of the statement and then get out of the field. So that is, it's very important to have break. Because we have semicolons. Okay? And optionally, you can have the default. So they are having break is optional because anyway, that is the end of the structure. So it will come to one of these things and then get out of the control structure. Only it comes to one of these things. If it comes to none of these things, it will definitely go to the default. Default if there's default. Okay. Right. So that is switch with break. You can use switch without break also. So this is the same example we did. So the output is something like this. So sample input, sample output. Right. So this is without break. What happens? Up again, to fall through and again. Right. So you can see the break statements are not there. So what happens when you have a without break statement? So let's do and see. So this is not much use, but maybe sometimes useful. Okay, I'll say switch. I'll refactor this saying switch with break demo. Refactor, rename file, switch with break demo. Okay, switch with break demo. I should get error also. Right. Why I'm getting the error? You must know now. Because it's a public class and file name and class names are different, two different. So therefore, I know that I should get error. Make them error. Right. So let's rename this to switch with break. Or I just delete the public keyword. Okay. With break. Sorry, with break demo. Now my file name and class name must be the same. Switch with break demo. Switch with break demo. Yes, right. Right. So now I should not get any error. Right. Invalid then bar. Okay. Right. So now let's create another class. Switch with break demo. Sorry, switch. This is switch with. Now let's say switch without break demo. New Java class. Switch switch without break demo. I will copy paste the previous code, including the main method, but I will delete the break statements and see what is the behavior. Right, same code. Only thing is I delete breaks lines. Right, now what will happen? Okay, let's give it a valid value, say 4. Now break statement is not there. This is a switch without break scenario. Now what happens is first it will check the value 4. It won't go there, right? It won't go there. It won't go to the second one. It won't go to the third one. It will go to the fourth one because my value is 4. So therefore, output will be first Thursday. Now, without break, how it works is then it goes to each and every case. Even though it is not 5, now it will go to 5 also, 6 also, 7 also, and even to default. It looks strange, but that is how it is developed in all the languages. So therefore, the output is now Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and even invalid. Even invalid. So don't ask me why. That is how switch statement is implemented. Okay, implemented without break in all the languages, not only in Java. So therefore, output is going to be Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It will come to the correct one. Then it will go to all the cases and default below that. Below that. So let's run it. You can see it hasn't get into the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but because it is the value is 4. But once it comes to the correct case, now it is going to each and every subsequent cases and not even to default. I know it is very crazy, but that is how switch without break operates in programming languages. Crazy, right? Crazy thing. But you must know if someone has done crazy thing also, you must know that, okay, this guy has done a crazy thing. Okay. සමහර විහිළුකාරයෝ ප්‍රසිද්ධ වෙන්නේ නේද? මිනිහා කළොත් දෙන්නේ විහිළුවන්ද ප්‍රසිද්ධයි. මේක ටිකක් එහෙම වගේ විහිළුව අතන්දරයක්. හරි. Right. Maybe this one has little bit of usage. Maybe that is why they have introduced this feature, switch without break. So one possible usage of this is if we have common functionality for set of case statements, we can use something like this. Say I just want to say whether it is a weekday or weekend. So then what I can do is in the fifth one I can say weekday. But by the way, you need to have break here now because otherwise it will go to the 6th and 7th and even the default. Now 6 and 7 both are weekend, so therefore I will delete this. If it comes to 6, I know that it will come to 7 also because there is no break here. Now I will say weekend. But make sure break, otherwise it will go to the default. And here I will say invalid. I don't need a break here because anyway that is the last one. So this is little bit of a possible usage of this fall through behavior because just the common functionality we put it into the last one because we know that if it is 2, still it will come to 5. But make sure you have break, otherwise it will go to this other things. Okay. And now this will only tell whether that day is a weekday, weekend, or invalid day. Of course, this is a weekday. Weekday. But if I enter something like 6 or 7, it will be weekend. So this is little bit of a possible usage of without break. Okay. So then you might ask, what are the usages of switch statement? Okay. Okay. So one possible use of switch statement is very rarely we use switch anyway. When you have menus, right? So maybe you have different menus. So when there's event handling, we can check whether it is you have clicked on the file menu, edit menu, view menu, insert menu. So if it is insert, do that. If it is format, do this. So that kind of situation, yes, maybe switch is handy. Switch is handy. But anyway, we can use if else if as well. So I told you Python doesn't support switch because their argument is without switch, you can use if else if to do that kind of things. That is also valid argument. Right. So which language you prefer? Language having switch or language without switch? Of course, only one language not having switch, that is Python. All the other languages are having switch. So I personally prefer Python because it doesn't have switch. It doesn't have switch. And still I can do programming because I can use if else if. And switch is very rarely used. Very rarely used. So not only me, so I don't know whether you have heard this quote from Einstein. So if you can see this is what the Einstein has said, not me, okay? Not me. Right, so this is one of thing. If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. So that is why I'm asking question from you guys. If you can't explain it simply, you have not understood. I know that you have not understood. Most of you guys have not understood because you don't explain it. But that is not what I was looking for. This is the other one. Everything should be made as simple as possible, but not simpler. Okay. So everything must be made as simple as possible. අපි මේ හැම දෙයක්ම ලෝකේ තියෙන දේවල් පුළුවන් තරම් සරල කරන්න. right? ඒක තමයි Python කරන්නේ. Python කියන ස්විච් ඕනේ නැහැ. සරල වෙනවා පොඩි වෙනවා. ලොකු කරන්න ඊළඟට තව එකක් කියලා තියෙනවා. හරි? Any fool can make things bigger. Right? Java is a big language. Right? බලන්න Einstein කියන වහන් තමයි Python හදලා තියෙන්නේ. Bigger. Any intelligent fool බලන්න පාවිච්චි කරන වචනේ. Let's take an image. So look at what Einstein says. Where is that? Einstein quotes එකක් අරන් බලන්න හොඳට ජීවිතය ගැන තේරුම් ගන්න පුළුවන්. ඔය quote එක නෑනේ. මෙතනින් බලන්න. Any fool can make things bigger, more complex and more violent. ඕන බූරුවෙක්ට පුළුවන්ලු ලොකුවට දෙයක් හදන්න. සංකීර්ණ කරන්න. ඒත් එක්කම ඕන කලාකාරී විදිහට හැසිරෙන්න. It takes touch of a genius. Genius ලා කියන්නේ අර අපි කියන්නේ කාටද කියලා සිංහල වචනේ මට මතක නෑ හරියට. Genius ලා කියන්නේ නිකන් අර වන්නක ටයිප් මිනිස්සු ඉන්නවා. හරි? එහෙමයි අඩුයි. And lot of courage. එහෙම වෙලා මදි genius කෙනෙක් වෙලා මදි උට හොඳට ආත්ම ශක්තියක් තියෙනවා. මොකද මිනිස්සු කැමති නෑ එහෙම කරනවාට. මිනිස්සු කැමති කම්ප්ලෙක්ස් කරනවාට. To move in the opposite direction. ඕක අනිත් පැත්ත ගහන්න නම් හොඳ ඔළුවක් තියෙන්නත් ඕන උට හොඳට ආත්ම ශක්තියකුත් තියෙනවා. ඔන්න ඔක තමයි Python කරන්නේ. හරි any fool can make things bigger නේද? ඕන එකට පුළුවන් if එකට අමතර switch එකක් දාන්න. හැබැයි courage එකක් තියෙන කෙනෙක් තමයි කියන්න පුළුවන් නෑ switch එක ඕනේ නෑ කියලා. do while එක ඕනේ නෑ කියලා. do while එක ඕනේ නෑ කියලා. ඕනේ නැත්නම් ඕනේ නෑ. මොකද අනවශ්‍ය දේවල්. සරල කරනවා කියන්නේ ඒක තමයි. ඔක තමයි සූත්‍රය. ඔක තමයි සාත්‍රය. නූතනත්වයට යනවා කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? සරල වෙනවා. ගෝත්‍රිකයෝ සංකීර්ණයි. ඔකල් දැකලා ගෝත්‍රිකයන්ගේ ඇඳුම් එන සංකීර්ණයි. right? Clothes of tribes වෙන වෙන සංකීර්ණයි කියන්නේ. ගෝත්‍රිකයන්ගේ ඇඳුම් මාර සංකීර්ණයි. සමහර වෙන්නේ එක්සත් ජාතීන්ගේ සම්මණ්ඩලය මේ අමතර නැත්නම් එන සංකීර්ණ ඇඳුම් ඇඳගෙන හැබැයි දියුණු මිනිස්සුන්ගේ ඇඳුම් ඔය ටික සරලයි. So modernization is make things simpler. So just think about it, understand it. So when you develop a software, also make it simple, okay? Make it simple, right? So now you must have understood what is if else, what is switch. What are the two different usages? Switch with break, switch without break. And one possible usage of switch without break. Sorry, switch without break. Okay. Right. So now we are done with conditions. So the selections. Value condition, Boolean condition. Okay. Right. So now we can move on to repetition or the loops. Repetition or the loops. So in Java language, there are three repetition structures. What are those? While condition, while loop, do while loop, for loop. And again, in Python, we have only while and for, no do while. And again, I like Python because do while is crazy. Do while is crazy. Do while ඇත්තටම ඕනේ නැතිය. පොතන අර අපේ බඩේ තියෙන උණ්ඩුක පුච්චේ කියලා එකක් තියෙනවා. appendicitis හැදෙන්නේ. ඕනේ නැති මගුලන් මේ බඩ ඇතුලේ තියෙන්නේ. නේද? තව තියෙනවා ඥානදත කියලා දෙකක් එනවා. කෙරෝල. නේද? මල කරුමයක්. නේද? සමහරුන්ගේ ඔක ආවම පුදුම දුකක් විඳින්න. සමහරු ගලවලා දානවා. ඒගොල්ලෝ ඕනේ නැති මගුල තියෙනවා ගලවලා දානවා. අයින් කරන්න ඕනේ. ඔන්න do while එක අයින් කරන්න ඕනේ දැන්. තාමත් තියන් ඉන්න කට්ටිය. But Python, so they have get rid of it. ඒගොල්ලෝ ඉක්මනට මේ අයින් කරලා දානවා. ඕනේ නැති මගුල. Right. Anyway, you need to learn do while also because it is in Java. Not only Java, C, C++, Python, JavaScript. ඒගොල්ලෝ දන්න ස්ටුඩන්ට් ලයි ටියුෂන් යන්න කියලා. ඉස්කෝලේ ගියාම ඉගෙන ගන්නවට අමතරව ජාති ගිය කියන්න ඕන, වැඳගෙන ඉන්න ඕන. නේද? ප්‍රින්සිපල් ගේ කයි කතන්දර අහන්න ඕන. ටියුෂන් පන්තියට ගියාම ඉගෙන ගත්ත ගෙදර ආවා. අනවශ්‍ය දේවල් කරන්නේ නැහැ. ඉස්කෝලේ යන දවස් 5ක් ටියුෂන් පන්තියට යන පැය දෙකක්. මේ පැය දෙකේ අර ටික ඔක්කොම ගන්න ලෙවන. අනවශ්‍ය දේවල් කරන්නේ නැහැ. හරි? So therefore, do while is such a thing, but anyway, you need to learn it, but you will never ever use it. සාමාන්‍ය මම නම් ජීවිතේ do while එක use කරලා නැහැ. ඕනේ නැහැ. හැබැයි තියෙනවා. අර කටේ ඥානදත් දෙක වගේ. ඥානදත් දෙන මොනවාරි හපා ගන්න හරි පුළුවන් නේ. උණ්ඩුක පුච්චේ මෙලෝ වැඩක් නැහැ. Right. So let's look at the first one, while. So while condition will execute as long as condition is true. When the condition is false, it will get out of the loop. So if it is true, come here. Whenever you come to the end, you again come here. But if it is false, you get out of the loop. If it is false, you get out of the loop. So it's a loop. As long as this is true, it's a loop. But the moment it becomes false, you are getting out of the loop. So that is called while loop. And again, if you have only one statement here, having curly bracket is optional. But if you have more than one statement, having curly bracket is mandatory. Otherwise, you will get errors. Right, so let's take one example from each. I call it while demo. While refactor rename file. W value name. So now I will change it while, because now the name is not same. And the main method PSVM. I just do one example, maybe print 1 to 10. And it's තනින් කරගන්න ඕන. So int a equal 1 while a is less than or equal to 10, print a, and this is a never ending loop. If you run this, what happens? It will keep printing 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, because every time it is 1, 1 is less than or equal to 10. So this is called never ending loop. If you try to run it, it of course it will run, but it is keep running forever. So then you can stop it from here because it is keep running. And I just stop it, process finish, because so then I will make it something like x plus plus or x equal x plus 1. And now not x, a plus plus. Now it will print only 1 to 10 because when once it is 10, next time it is 11. 11 is not less than or equal to 10. Therefore, you get out of the loop. Maybe you can have by. While loop එක ගැන කිසිම සැකයක් තියෙන්න බෑ. Programmersලා කියන්නේ චණ්ඩි. තමන්ගේ subject එක ඇතුලේ. කිසි සැකයක් නැහැ උදේට නැගිටලා වැඩට යනකොට ඒගොල්ලන්. තමන් කරන වැඩේ ගැන. Right. So that is a simple. Now you can write yourself. Print a while loop. Print in 10 to 1. Right. Maybe print 1 to 10 and the sum. අයව අපි කරලා තියෙන්නේ flow chart වලින් එහෙම. දැන් ඒව code කරන එක ඔයාගේ වැඩක්. Right. So now we'll move on to do while. අනවශ්‍ය උණ්ඩුක පුච්චය. අනවශ්‍ය control structure. Do while, let's say do while demo. දැන් මම කියන්නේ මේක වැඩක් නෑ මාලා කර්මයක් කියලා. දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ විශ්වාස කරන්න ඕනද මං කියන එක? So do you think that you must believe in me? No, you question me. එහෙම කොහොමද? ඔයගොල්ලෝ දැන් බලන්න නෑ ලබන සතියේ මං හොයනවා මේක ඇත්තද මේ කතන්දරේ. මේක ඇත්තටම ඕනේ නැද්ද? මේක මොන හරි ඕනකමක් තියෙනවද? නැත්තම් මිනිසුන්ට පිස්සුද මෙච්චර ඕනේ නැති මගුලක් කියන එක තියාගෙන ඉන්නේ. එක්ක මූට පිස්සුද මේක මේ ඕනේ නැති මගුලක් උණ්ඩුක පුච්චේ කියන්නේ. ඔයගොල්ලෝ හොයන්නේ. පුළුවන් නම් කවුන්ට් ආගියුමන්ට් එකක් එක එන්න ලබන සතියේ. නෑ මේක වැදගත්. ඔයා එහෙම කිව්වට ඕක තියන් ඉන්නේ මිනිසුන්ට අවශ්‍යතාවයක් හන්දා. ඔයා මේ අපි කතා කරමු ඊළඟ සතියේ උඩ. Right. So you can challenge, right? You must challenge everything. Right? Don't accept anything from anyone without challenging. හැබැයි challenge කරන කලින් වඩ ගාව logic එකක් තියෙනවා. ඔයාට count argument එකට අවශ්‍ය දේවල් තියෙනවා. Maybe your argument is correct. Maybe you at the end you will accept that, oh yes, still your argument is correct. That is fine. That is how you learn. Right. So now I will do the same thing, printing 1 to 10 using do while. Only difference is what? In do while we check the condition at the end. Right. So int x equal 1, do, and here you have the while now. We check the condition at the end. X is less than or equal to 10. And in do while, you need to have a semicolon. It's a special requirement in do while statement, not only in Java, other languages also. Okay. So usually at the end of the control structure, you don't need a semicolon, but in do while, you need it. एक विशेष there. හැම language එකෙම මේව තමයි. ඒක මගෙන් අහන්න බෑ. ඇයි කියලා මමත් දන්නේ නැහැ මොන විකාරයක්ද මේ semicolon එකෙන් දාලා කරන්න කියලා. S out. Let's say x. And we'll increment it by 1, otherwise it will be a never ending loop. And this will print 1 to 10. Okay, I narrate. And next main method that net, PSVM net. So this should be inside the main method, okay? Right. System out println x. Now this will print because x is 1. Do a dry run. Make it again dry run. Hand execution. X is 1. It will come here. It will enter because there is no condition. It will print x, which is 1. Now x is 2. Now is 2 less than or equal to 10? Yes. Therefore, it will go back to 2. Now print 2. Now x is 3. And it will keep printing until 9. Right? 9. Then 9 plus plus is 10. Is 10 less than or equal to 10? Yes. It goes there. Then print 10. Then 11. 11 is not less than or equal to 10. Therefore, get out of that. Get out of that. So let's have by also. So this is identical to the previous while loop. No difference at all. No difference at all. So 1 to 10 and by. දැන් ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ වැඩේ තමයි මේ do while එක තියෙන්නම ඕනේද? මේක නැත්තම් හෙට ඉර පායන්න නැති වෙයිද? මේක නැතුව කරන්න බැරි වැඩක් හොයාගන්න ඕන පුළුවන් නම්. do while එක නැතුව සමාජයේ නැත්තම් ප්‍රෝග්‍රෑමර්ස්ලාට සර්වයිව් වෙන්න බැරි එක්සැම්පල් එකක් කෝඩ් එකක් හොයාගෙන මට කියන්න ඕන. මෙන්න මේ වගේ තැන්වල ඔයාලට do while එක නැත්තම් ඔයා නා ගන්නවා, එන ගන්නවා. ඔයා පොරටෝක් දුන්නට කියලා. හරි. පුළුවන් නම් එකක් හොයාගන්න. හැබැයි ඊට පස්සේ ඒකම ගිහිල්ලා Python එකටත් ගිහිල්ලා කියන්නේ ඔන්න උඹලා වැඩේ නාලා තියෙන්නේ කියලා. Python වල නෑ do while. උතර Python එක උත්තර බඳින්න ඕන ඔයාලට. හරි. right සාමාන්‍යයෙන් එහෙම එකක් සාමාන්‍යයෙන් නෙමෙයි ඔයාලට do while වලින් කරන ඕනම දෙයක් while එකෙන් කරන්න පුළුවන් so whatever you do with do while you can do with while so that is why Python people has taken out do while it's taken out do while but anyway in other languages still we keep it තාමත් මේක තියාගෙන ඉන්නේ හරි engineers ලා එකක් තියන් ඉන්නේ backward compatibility කියලා right so now we have done while loop do while loop now we are into the third loop that is for loop right what is mean by for loop in Java remember for loop in Java and most of the languages are the same but for loop in Python is sort of a different thing sort of it behaves in a different way but when it comes to for loop I really like the for loop in Java, C, C++, C Sharp, Python, JavaScript. I really like. I hate Python for loop. මට Python එකේ for loop එක මට දිරවන්නේ. කරන්න දෙයක් නැහැ. ඉතින් හැම language එකේම තමන්ට ආස දේවල් විතරක් නැහැ. But the way for loop is done in Java and other languages are really beautiful. Now let's see how the for loop is done in Java and other languages. Okay. Let's say for loop demo. For demo. Let's write PSVM. So if someone asks what is for loop is doing in languages like Java, C, C++, simple answer is it's a compact form of while loop, which is more convenient in some situations. Right? So in some situations, rather than while loop, you can write that in a for loop much compact manner. So in that kind of situation, software developers use for loop rather than while loop. But in general cases, they go for while loop. But special cases where for loop is much convenient, they go for for loop. What is that special situations you will learn with experience. ඒ ඔයාගේ experience එකත් එක්ක ඉගෙන ගන්න. හරි. මොන වගේ තැන් වලටද for එක වැඩි set වෙන්නේ කියලා. හරි. ඒක දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ දැන් ડોක්ටර්ස්ලා පස් දෙනෙක්ට ගියාම ආවට ගියාම තමයි එකම ලේඩියට බෙහෙත් පහක් දෙන්නේ. ඒක සමහර බෙහෙතක් ඔයාලට set වෙනවා. ඒකට පස් දෙනාම එක මෙඩිකල් කොලෙජ් එකකින් අවුට් වෙලා තියෙන සමහරකට. ඒක තමයි කියන්නේ එයාගේ experience එක එයාගේ IQ එක කියන්නේ. සමහරට ඒකෙන් කියන්නේ හැම දොස්තරම කරන හැමදේම හරියනවා කියලා. මේ සමහර ડોක්ටර්ස්ලා කරන දේවල් වැඩියෙන් හරියනවානේ. ඒ වගේ එක්ස්පීරියන්ස්. ඒක තමයි ගන්න කියන්නේ කෝඩ් කරලා එන්න. ඒක කාටවත් හොවන්න බෑ. ඒක කාටවත් හොවන්න බෑ. ඒක එක්ස්පීරියන්ස් එක ගන්න ඕන. වැඩ කරනකොටම හිත. Right. First I will write a while loop. I will copy paste the while loop here because I am very lazy person. Okay. තරහ කම්බිනි කෙනෙක් තවත් ලෝකෙ නැතුව ඇති. Right. So this is the while loop. So this will print 1 to 10 because I just copy paste from that. Okay. 1 to 10 and by. Okay. Right. So this is how the for loop is built. Look at it. So software developers, computer engineers, computer scientists saw there's a pattern in while loop when people use while loop. Actually, first they came up with the while loop. There's a pattern. That is, you initialize variable or one or more variables. Then you use that variable for a condition. Then you change that variable somehow. You do something else. Because if you don't change that variable, if this is true, it will be true forever. Because සදාකාලිකම true වෙනවා. So therefore, if you want to get out of the loop, you must change it and after sometimes it must be false. So you have variable or set of variables. You use that variable or set of variables for condition, and you do something to that variable so that after some time your condition become false. There's a pattern. ඔක while එකක් ලියන හැමෝම කරන වැඩක්. ඔහොම කරේ නැත්නම් loop එක වැඩ කරන්නේ නැහැ. Loop එක useless. So then they thought, because we do this over and over and over, why can't we make it a little bit more compact? So therefore they just did this. ඔන්න බලන්න ඒගොල්ලෝ කරපු වැඩේ. So they took this line, cut it. So they cut it and they put it there. And the place where you do some changes, you take it to the end. Okay, you take to the end. And they change this to for loop. Okay, they change this to for loop. Okay, so last semicolon you don't need because that is end. So therefore they delete that semicolon and they call this for loop. And this is more compact. This is more compact. And it does the same thing as previous, printing 1 to 10. Printing 1 to 10 and by. So by is coming from here. You can see that this is much compact than that while loop. Because in the while loop, you do this before the while loop. Your while loop had only this one. And you did this in the body of the while loop. Now, initialization of variable is also here. Condition is still there. And the change you did to the variable, also you take it there. Because it is something that control your loop. And they rename it as for loop. And if you like for loop, use for loop. If you feel like no, while loop is more convenient for me, just use it. No one is going to tell anything. Okay. So I also sometimes use for loop, sometimes use while loop. But in some cases, I prefer to go for for loop. In some cases, I prefer to go for while loop. So what is those some cases you will learn with experience? ඒක මට ඕන කියන්න බල මම කියන්නේ නැහැ උනත්. මොකද ඒතකොට ඔයගොල්ලෝ එක්ස්පීරියන්ස් ගන්න නැති වෙනවා. කෝඩ් කරනකොට ඔයාලට මොකද වෙලාවක තේරෙයි. මොකද ඔයාලට දැන් ඔප්ෂන් දෙකක් තියෙනවා. while එක දිනනකොට for එක ලියනවා. ඔයාලටම තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ මෙතනට වැඩි සෙට් වෙන්නේ for එක කියලා. ඒ එක්ස්පීරියන්ස් එක ඔයාම ගන්න. හරි? ඔයාම ඉගෙන ගන්න ටික ටික. Right. So how this for loop work? First, okay, let me have an enter here. Right. So first it will execute this line. Because remember this used to be above. So this is your first thing. Then it will check the condition. If the condition is true, it will come to the body. And you can have any number of statements. Whenever you come to the end, you must go to this point. Because remember, this used to be inside the body. So therefore, you must do this before coming to the condition again. So this is maybe my fourth. And after this, you again come to the condition. And if the condition is true, you keep doing this like this. If the condition is false, you get out of it. And you only come to this only at the beginning. Why? This line used to be above. So this is executed only at the beginning. Afterwards, you come here, come here, come here, come here. Because this used to be inside. And when this is false, you get out. While එකෙන් තමයි for එක හැදුනේ කියලා දන්නේ මේ for loop එක වැඩ කරන විදියක් දන්න. මොකද එයා දන්නවා while එකේ වැඩ කරන විදියට තමයි මේකත් වැඩ කරන්නේ. while එකේ for එක හැදෙන්නේ. Right. So that is how for loop work. Right. Then your task is take some examples and write some code like print 1 to 10, print 10 to 1, print 1 to 10 and sum at the end, print out numbers. Then what ටික ටික programming කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙනවා. අදින් පස්සේ ඔයාලට පොඩි problem solve කරන්න පුළුවන්. Because you know operators, you know control structures. Then ප්‍රධාන අවිතික දීලා තියෙනවා. Right. So while loop, do while loop, for loop. There's another version of for loop called array friendly for loop or collection friendly for loop, which we will discuss when after doing arrays. So there's another version of for loop called array friendly and collection friendly for loop, which we will discuss after doing arrays. Okay. So some more examples. right? So there's array and collection 24 loop, which will be covered in the array section. Right, transfer control statement. ඊට කලින් මම ඔයාලට පොරොන්දුනයි ternary if else එක කරනවා කියලා. Because we skip that in operators. I told you during the operators topic, we'll do that after we do the if else. So this is not a control structure, this is operator, but we will take it here. So this is usually called ternary condition. Okay, ternary means it needs 3 operands. Binary means 2 operands. Unary means 1 operand. This is a ternary operator. Operands තුනක් ඕන operator එකක්. එහෙම තියෙන එකම operator programming language. Right. So therefore we call it ternary condition. Actually this is operator, not a control structure. Demo. So let's say PSVM. I will take my if example. This if example, because ternary condition needs a compact way of using if else. Special if else, not every if else, okay? Right. So we did this example. Marks is 55. If marks is greater than 50, pass. Else fail. Of course, if it is 55, it will print pass. And let's have by. By. So this will print pass and by. Of course, this is normal if else. Okay. Right. Now what? Now the ternary condition is if you simply assign a value to a variable conditionally. So that kind of thing we frequently do. Conditionally assign a value to a variable. Of course, you can do if else condition. Right? Something like this. Say I have another variable. Say string result. Okay, string result. Now rather than print, I will say result equal pass. Result equal pass. Okay. So this is a string. And here I will say, why I'm getting error? I think that is fine. මේකත් මේ යාගේ පිස්සුවක් වෙන්නේ නැතිය. මම ගණන් ගන්න එපා වැඩි. AI පිස්සු කරනවා. Right, I will say fail here. Okay. And then I will print the result. Variable. Okay, result variables. Now in this case, 55 is greater than 50. So therefore it will come to the if and it will assign pass to the string variable. So therefore it will print pass. Okay, pass. Let's run and see. It says pass. මේ error message ගණන් ගන්න එපා මම මේ ඒවා එන්නේ කාගෙන්ද? ඉන්ටෙලිජේ පොඩ්ඩක් තමන්ගේ AI පාවිච්චි කරලා සමහරවිට බොරු කතන්දරක් කියනවා මට. හරි. මම ඒවා වැඩි ගණන් ගන්න නෑ. හරි. මට ඕන මේක disable කරන්න පුළුවන් ඇති. කොහේ හරි ඇති ඉන්ටෙලිජේ disable කරන්න ඉන්ටෙලිජේගේ hints. Okay. මට මල වදයක් කරලා තියෙන ඇත්තටම මට ඉන්ටෙලිජේ දෙන්න. ඇණයක් කරලා තියෙන ඒවා disable කරන්න ඕනේ ඉක්මනටම. කොහේ හරි ඇති option එක. comment බලන්න. Disable IntelliJ code insight. ඔකට කියන්නේ සාමාන්‍ය code insight කියලා. මෙයාත් දැන් ඒ අසේ AI වලින් උත්තර දෙන්න හදනවා. හරි. search result දෙනවා. Suggestions in IntelliJ. Code completion for automatic blah blah blah. automatic code analysis. මම හිතන්නේ නෝක තමයි අපිට කරදරයක් වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. Pick the little man at the bottom of the window. Move the slider to the left. පොඩි මිනිහෙක් ඉන්නවද කෙරවලේ? මිනිහෙක් ඉන්නවද? මට නම් පේන්නේ නැහැ මිනිහෙක්. හරි ඒක පස්සේදී මෙයා කරමුවා. ඔය හරියට code inspect. Right. So anyway, දැනට ඔය ගණන් ගන්නවා මේ red lines ඒ ඉන්ටෙලිජන්ට් වලින් දෙන කතන්දර. Right. So this says pass because marks is greater than 55. So therefore it goes to it and therefore result is pass. Now this kind of simple scenario where you have a condition, depending on the condition you assign a value to different values. So this kind of scenarios can be replaced with ternary condition, ternary operator. How to do that? This is how you do that. I will comment this line, okay? I will comment this line. So I can write it like this. Result, that is my variable, equal, this is my condition, question mark. Then if true, what should be assigned to the variable? I want to assign pass. Colon, what should be assigned if this condition is fail? In my case, I want to assign fail. This is colon. And this is how the ternary operator works. Okay. If marks is greater than 50, assign pass to result. Else, assign fail to result. And this case also I must get fail. I must get this, sorry, pass because 55 is bigger than 50. So therefore true means pass is assigned to result. Okay. Right. So let's run and see. Now I have commented this if else. Hey, we know ternary operator use කරලා තින්න. Run. And I get the same result. But this time I don't use if else, rather I use ternary operator. මේ red line එක ගණන් ගන්න එපා. මම කිව්ව ඉන්ටෙලිජන්ට් එකකින් එන්නේ. ඒක disable කරන්න දෙන්නේ නැහැ මේ alpha එක. Control D to toggle preview. Control D කහලා බලන්න. Sorry, Control Q. I will disable it before the next class. Okay, this is a headache for me. But anyway, this is not error message. You got that. Okay. And also, if you get something like 45, it will be fail because now this one will be assigned to result. Okay. Now it should be fail. Not it should be, it must be fail. Okay. Children's are present. I don't know what is mean by that. Okay. Right. So that is how the ternary condition work. Okay. Ternary condition work. So rather than if else like this, if you want to just assign a different values for the same variable for true and false, you can use the ternary condition, ternary operator. So this operator is available in almost all the languages. Okay. Right. So now we are done. Anyway, that is not a control structure. That is operator. I just kept it until we finish the if else. Okay. Right. So now we move. Now we are done with sequence, selection, repetition. Right. And we did the ternary operator also as an additional thing, not additional thing because we did not do that under operators. So now I told you that supplementary to these control structures, we have break and continue. We have break and continue. Okay. Break and continue. So break and continue is not control structures. So break and continue are additional support for the control structures. So the first of all, you must remember, you must use break and continue when it is absolutely necessary. Don't overuse it. Don't overuse it. When it is absolutely necessary, use it. And there are situations actually break and continue must be used, but don't overuse it. Okay. So statements must be used when it is really useful, since misuse create unstructured code. ආයෙ spaghetti code ලියවෙනවා ඔයාගේ අතින් misuse කරොත්. Noodles code, noodles code. 1960 ගණන් වල code. But why these statements are there? Because there are situations this can be handy. Okay. When you use it with some purpose. Right. What is the use of break? Actually, break we already use in switches. Right. Case. Right. If you use switch with case, it break out of the switch. But without break, it falls through. But that is just one use of break statement. So break can be used in some other situations also, especially with loops. While loop, for loop, do while loop. So the purpose of break is it will break out of the loop or switch. Break out of the switch or loop. And break can be used without a label or with a label. So that means break statement will take you out of the loop. Break out of the loop, and it can be used with and without label. Okay. So just give me 1 minute. Right. So break statement can be used with break or without break. Sorry, a break statement can be used with a label or without label. First, let's see how to use it without a label. That is the simple use. Okay. So if you use a break statement without a label, it will break from the nearest loop, closest loop. If you use break with a label, it will break from that label loop. Right, so let's take an example. Let's call it break without label demo. So let's have a main method. So let's have a for loop, because for loops are easier in this kind of a simple printing 1 to 10 and so on. Okay, for in x equal 1 as long as x is less than or equal to 10, x plus plus, and let's print x. So this will print 1 to 10. This will print 1 to 10. Okay. So this is not a practical example, but I will do something like crazy thing here. Okay. So I will say something like this. If x is equal 5, break. Okay. So let's have by also. Right. So now what will happen is when x equal 1, it will not complete statement. So therefore it will print 1. Then x is 2 because x is incremented. 2 is not 5. It will print 2. It will print 3. It will print 4. But when x is 5, now we come to the if condition. So therefore it will break out of the nearest loop. So nearest loop is your for loop. So therefore it will print only 1 to 4 and then by. So without this 1 to 10. Without this 1 to 10. Right. But with this 1 to 4, because when x become 5, it break out of this nearest loop. Of course, only one loop is there, therefore it get out of the loop. So therefore it will print only 1 to 4, not even 5. You can see. Okay. So this is not a, this is actually crazy example. This is not a practical example. This is just to explain you how the break statement behave. Of course, if you want to print 1 to 4, you can just say 1 to 4 rather than less than or equal to 10. But this is just to explain what is the behavior of break. Okay. Right. So there's another thing you can do with IDs like IntelliJ. So far, what you do, you can write your code, you can use some shortcut like PSVM, SOut, and syntax highlighting is there. Code support is there, like when you type something, it suggests. So there's another very important feature of IDs, that is you can debug. So debug means you run your programs under your control. So that is very important feature when you want to find bugs. Or, and also it is a very good feature when you want to learn new concepts. Maybe you want to just double check whether these concepts are correct or actually these concepts happen like that. Okay. Right. So let's do a debug here. So debug means first you run your program under your control, because when you run it within a flash, everything is executed and you can see the output only. Now what I do is there's an option called debug. So far I have been using run. Okay. But if you just do debug, it will be same as running. I just click on the debug. It will take a little bit more time, but it's something like that running or same result. So therefore, when you do debugging, make sure you have breakpoints. So breakpoint means when you click somewhere here in a particular line number, somewhere here. It's a toggle. If I click it again, it is disabled. Enable, disable. At any point, you can have breakpoint. Of course, you can't have breakpoint like this because it doesn't make much sense. But maybe, so I have added a breakpoint in the for loop. Okay. Breakpoint. So then when I do debug, it will come to this line and stop. And let the user go to the next step under user control. Okay, so now I have added a breakpoint. Now I will say debug. Now it has come to this line and it is waiting for me to do something. Okay. And also you can see these are the argument values. Now what I can do is you can see there are some icons here. This is step over, step into, step out. Step over means go to the next line in the sequence. So I say step forward. Now I am in the if condition. Now you can see x is 1. Of course, x is 1. And it also says that x equal 5 is false. Yes, because x is 1. Because x is 1, x equal 5 is false. So therefore, it will not come to the if condition because this is false. Therefore, it says step forward. Yes. Right. It doesn't go to the if condition. Now it prints still nothing in the console. Right. But after this line is executed, 1 is there. Now I run slowly, one by one, under my control. Still x is 1 because now only this will be executed, x plus plus. I say step forward, now x is 2. This happened and come to the if condition. Still this is false because 2 is not equal to 5. Right? Now 2 is print. Now x will be 3. It doesn't come here because x is not 5. Now 3 is print. Now 4. 4 is print. Now it will be 5. Now you can see condition is true. Because condition is true, it will get into the if condition now. Now this line says break. So break line says get out of the nearest loop. So the nearest loop is 4 because that is the only loop. That means you get out of the loop means you come to this line. So let's do step 4. Now you are in the by line. And of course, that is the last line. So that's it. Right? Nothing else. Finish. So if you want to double check whether these things are really happening the way these guys are telling, these nodes are telling, you can double check. You can run it under your control. Right? So when you learn about methods, you will use step in also. You can get into the method. Okay? You can get into the method. Right. So use those features that make your learning experience more interesting, faster. And also when you come up with some issues, you can see where the issue is because you expect that X to be 3, but actually X is not 3. Then you know that, okay, there's a bug here. There's a logical semantic bug. Okay. Right. So that is how you use break statement without label. Now, if you have multiple loops, and if you want to get out of the outer loop, that is where you need a label break. Okay, label break. So let's do an example for that. Okay. So first I will again you do without label. Okay. So I'll call this new Java class break without label demo 2. So there I will be using 2 loops. PSVM. So this is my first for loop. And this is my second for loop. So I would say this is going from 1 to 5. Int I equal 1. I is less than or equal to say 10. I plus plus. That is going from 1 to 10. And this for loop, I will use a different variable that is also going from 1 to 10. But this time I will use different variable. And I will print I comma j. I maybe space like this and j. I will use print here. Print here. And maybe at the end, another space. Right, what will be the output here? Because when this is 1, then j is 1, then j is 2, j is 3, j is 4. Okay, let's make it 5. Otherwise, a lot of output will be there, both cases. So the output will be 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5 in the first line with a space. Then 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2, 5 with space. Then 3, 1, 3, 2, 3, 4, 3, 5. 4, 1, 4, 2, 4, 3, 4, 4, 4, 5. 5, 1, 5, 2, 5, 3, 5, 4, 5, 5. තේරුම් නැත්නම් ආයෙ කල්පනා කරලා බලන්න. Right? Let's run it and see. And at the end, I will have S out. Otherwise, it will print everything in the same line. So this is just to pause after this for loop, pause the next for loop output to the next line. Okay. මම කියන එක තේරෙන්නේ නැත්නම් කරලා බලන්න ඕනේ ඉතින් හරි. semicolon යන්නේ නැහැ නේ. Right. So I will run it again. And this is the output. Right. 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5. This is the I value. This is the J value. Till I value is 1. Now I value is 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So this is likewise, you can inside a loop, you can have another loop. Inside a loop, you can have condition. Inside a condition, you have another loop. So that is how you build complex logic. Sometimes you need to write complex logic. Not because we like complex logic, but because the problem is complex. Right. Now I will have breaks here. I will say if my J is 3, break. මම කියනවා J 3ක් වුණාම break වෙන්න. Usually it must go until 5. But now I will say when J is 3, break. So therefore now what is the output? Now the output will be 1 1 1 2. Even 1 3 will not print. Okay, we'll make it 4. 1 1 1 2 1 3, but no 1 4, because when it J is 4, you break. Break means nearest loop. Nearest loop is this. So therefore again it will go to the outer loop and again come back. Or outer loop will be. So therefore output will be 1 1 1 2 1 3, 2 1 2 2 2 3, 3 1 3 2 3 3, 4 1 4 2 4 3, 5 1 5 2 5. තේරෙන්නේ නැත්නම් ආයෙ කල්පනා කරලා debug එකකුත් කරලා බලන්න. debug point එකක් දාන්න. And you can see, because this break will break out of the nearest loop, that is this loop. But again it will come back to the loop after the outer loop. Okay. So that is the output, because this break out of the nearest loop. Okay. But there are situations you want to break out of some outer loop. මේ වගේ එළිය loop එකකින් එළියට පයින්නයි ඕන දැන්. මේ වගේ ළඟ එකකින් එළියට ගිහලා හරියන්නේ නැහැ. So that is where we use label break. Right, label break. So I will create another class, break with label demo. I will copy paste this code and just copy paste. So this is the same code. So therefore this will give me the same output, because I have not done any change. Now what I do is I will give a label for this for loop. Usually you need to give it just above the loop. Just any valid identifier. Right? Even you can say XX. I'll just call it OU or XO, YO, whatever. And colon. So that is how you give a label. So this label is applicable for this loop now. Now I will say break OU or break X if there is X. Now when you say break, you are not breaking out of the nearest loop, rather you are breaking out of this, where the label, that particular loop. So in that case, what is the output? 1 1 1 2 1 3, and that's it, because you are getting out of the big for loop. That is the only output now. Okay. The only output is 1 1 1 2 1 3, because you break out of the outer loop. Outer loop breakout means you are done. So if you want to break out of the outer loop, make sure you use a label. But if you want to just break out of your nearest loop, nearest outer loop, just use the normal break. That will break out from your nearest loop. Got it? Still, these are not practical problems. Practical solutions. मैं practically use करना. Practically use करना देवल देखा है उन्होंने. So your task is find out practical usage of a break statement. Practical usage of a continuous statement. Practical usage. ඉස්සර ඔයා කල්පනා කරන්න ඊට පස්සේ chat GPT එක ගන්න chat GPT ඕන තරම් example එකයි. chat GPT කියන්නේ මට practically use කරන උදාහරණ පහක් දෙන්න කියලා. ටක් ගාලා පහක් කියලා දෙන්න. හරි? So go to chat GPT. දැන් chat GPT ඉන්න හන්ද මට ලේසි. මම සමහර ඒවා කරන්නේ නැහැ ක්ලාස් එකේ. මට කියන chat GPT එකෙන් අහලා දෙනවා ගන්න නැත්නම් ඔයා ඉස්සර කල්පනා කරන්න. List down 5 practical usages of break statements in programming, because you don't need to say Java, because break is there in all the languages. So ඔයගොල්ලෝ කල්පනා කරන්න හරනම් හරි. අය ඊට list down කරලා ගියා මේ තැන් වල අපිට පාවිච්චි කරන්න පුළුවන්. හරිද? හරි මම ඔයාලට පෙන්නන්න කැමති නෑ. උත්තර ටික ඔයා බලා ගන්න. හරි? සාධාරණ. එතකොට කියනවා business cases, right? Domain usages කියලා. තවත් ලස්සන ඒවා. හරි මම කැමති නෑ ඒකට උත්තරයක් දෙන්න. මොකද ඔයාලට first you can think. Then search from Google, YouTube, ChatGPT and see whether your answers are correct. Practical කියන්නේ ප්‍රායෝගිකව පාවිච්චි කරන්න තැනක් වෙනවා. Problem එක solve කරද්දී. Right, so that is how the break statement is used. Okay. Right, so our final statement, these are supplementary to the control structures, is continue. Continue also can be used with break, sorry, with label, without label. Okay. So let's do continue without label. Right, continue without label. Remove. I will copy this code and paste it. Break without label demo එකම තමයි මම මෙතනට ගන්න. හරි. Exact same class. Exact same code. Only thing is I will change break to the continue. හරි. Two වෙනසයි කරන්නේ. එක line එකක් විතරක් මම වෙනස් කරලා මෙන්න මේක continue කියලා දානවා. කලින් උනේ මොකද්ද? It print 1 to 4 and break. තේරෙනවද? 1 to 4 and break and say bye then. Or bye කියලා කිව්වා. Because when it is 5, it break the loop. There's nothing called nearest loop, that is the only loop. Now what happens? Right now, what happens if your line is not break? Continue. Continue. Now, what is the output? Okay. Now, the difference between break and continue is break statement will break out of the loop, nearest loop or outer loop, depending on whether you have a label. Continue statement will skip the current iteration and join the loop again. Skip the current iteration and join the loop again, not break out of the loop. It's something like this. Say you are keep running around and around as long as a condition is true. If there's a break, if there's a condition here and you break out, so that means so you are supposed to run this as long as this is true, but here someone check you. And if the condition is true, you are supposed to stop your running. You break out of the loop. So that is how the break works. හරි. ඒක හරියට මේ වගේ. ඔයා මේක වටේ දුව ඉන්නවා. මෙයා බලනවා තාම රවුමයි දෙකයි නැව රවුම් පහක් දුවන්න. හැබැයි මෙතන ඉන්නවා කවුරු හරි මෙඩිකල් චෙක් කරන කෙනෙක්. එයා සමහරට ඔයාගේ බ්ලඩ් ඔයාගේ පල්ස් රේට් එක බලලි වෙලා පල්ස් රේට් එක එක්තරා ගන්නට වැඩි නම් එම් කියනවා දුවන එක නවත්තපන්. Don't run. Break out of that. හරි. ඔය ඇති දිවුවා. So that is how the break works. Continue is something else. So again you have the condition here. But here you check the different condition and decide whether continue or not. If the condition satisfied, you are not supposed to complete the current iteration. මේ මෙතන මොන හරි කරන්න දේවල් දුන්නා ඒව කරන්න බෑ. You are directly sent back to the condition. And if the condition is true again you run. And again if this condition is true, again you are put it to the start. The rest of the current iteration is skipped. Only the rest of the current iteration is skipped. You are not breaking out. So that is how continue works. Continue එකේ condition එක satisfy කියන්නේ වාට මේ iteration එක ඉතුරු වැඩ ටික කරන්න බෑ. කෙලින්ම join වෙන්න ඕන ආයෙමත් ඊළඟ iteration එකට. නැත්නම් condition එකට. So that is how continue works. So it looks very crazy, but there are practical usages. Plenty of practical usages. That is why continue statement is there. Now what is the output here now? Then make output එක මොකක්ද? Now when x is 1, it won't come here. Therefore, output will be 1. X is 2 because every time it is incremented. 2 is print, 3 is print, 4 is print. After 4 is print, it goes there and x will become 5. Now condition is satisfied. So therefore you come to continue. So continue will take you back to here without printing, because continue means don't do the rest of the current iteration. So therefore 5 is not print. You can go there, then it is 6. Then 6 is print, 7 is print because you are not coming here. So therefore the output will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Because when it is 5, you get into the continue and therefore you again go there. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's no 5 here. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If you want, you can do a debug session. Debug. මේ කරන එක මාර වැදගත් ඉතින් හරි. මේක කරන්න නැති අයට මෙලොව මගුලක් තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ. තේරෙන්නේ නැති වෙන්නේ කොහොමද වෙන්නත් ඕන. මෙහෙම තේරෙනවා නම් එහෙම. මල මගුලක්. Right? So you can see false, still false, still false. තාම 4යි. Now output is what? 1 2 3 4. තාම 4 print උනේ නැහැ. 3 වෙනකම් print වෙලා තියෙනවා. Right. So now 4 is also print. And now x will be 5. And now the condition is true. You are getting to the continue. Continue will send you back here. You are not supposed to do the rest of the iteration. Rest of the iteration, okay? දැක්කද? කෙලින්ම මෙතනට ආවේ නැහැ අතනට ගියා. So now again it is false. Therefore you are keep printing, but you can see 5 is not print. 5 is not print. 8, 9, 10, and then of course naturally you are getting out of the for loop because now this condition is false. And say bye. So that is how it works. So 5 is not print. Again, if you want to continue outer loop, make sure you label it and send it to that. Okay, send it there. එතකොට ඒ current iteration එක run වෙන්නේ ඒ loop එකටම outer loop එකට. Okay, so let's do one more example. Continue without label demo 1. I will take this example for that. And just I will take change break to continue. Not this. This. I have 2 for loop, but this will continue the inner loop. හරි මෙයා break මේ යන්නේ inner loop එකට තමයි continue කරන්නේ. Okay, I forget about the main method. PSVM. Now you know what is the output is 1 1 1 2 1 3 1 4. Sorry, 1 1 1 2 1 3. Then 2 1 2 2 2 3 3 1 3 2. Because when it is 4, you break out of this loop. This is break. Okay. Output is 1 1 1 2 1 3 2 1 2 2 2 3 3 1 3 2 3 3 blah 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 until 10 1 10 2 10 3. Okay. And you get out of the inner for loop. I am good. Run. Right. Of course, it is ending at 5 because I changed this to 5. Okay. So when it is 4, you break out of this inner loop. But what happens if it is continue? Then මොනවාද වෙන්නේ කියලා තේරුම් ගන්න ඕන තනිය. What will be the output here? What will be the output here? Of course, you will get output. I can run it without any error. Right? But I don't want you to see the output. Just think about the output by yourself and see, understand why it is like that. Okay. So this is continue. When you have 2 loops, it will continue this for loop. Output I will share the code, but you must understand it by yourself. I am not going to explain the output. So I will give the other example also. Continue with label demo. But again, I will not show you the output. Demo 2. That is with, not without, with. Demo. I will copy paste the code from here. The label. Oh, where is the label bar? Right. So now you must understand or identify if this is continue and I have a label now. Label is this. What will be the output? මොකද්ද මේක output එක වෙන්නේ? I will run it, but I will not show you the output. But I will share you the code. But first you write the code and I didn't understand. or without running the code, you guess what is the output. You can see there is a definitely output, but you need to understand why the output is like that. So continue will skip the rest of the current iteration and join the loop. This time it will join this loop for the next iteration because it is OU. So you must understand it by yourselves. Because you guys are not kids. You guys want to professionals. Right. So that's it about control structures. We are done. Okay. We are done. So some exercises are also given. Make sure you do these exercises. Okay. Do these exercises. You need to get these done using control structures without hard coding. You can print only one X at a time or one number at a time. Don't print something like this in the same line. Using a logic, you must print this using loops and so on. Okay. Right. So that's it.